Guess who's back? Back again. Ronald's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do you hear what I hear? Welcome to another wonderful, infiltrating, agitating edition of We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Welcome, family. This is I. It's been a long time, not really a long time, but really been a long time because of everything going really hyper fast in the age of Aquarius and all this information overload. Like, I'm coming with all the information. Overload. This is Brother Ron. Welcome to another wonderful edition. This is still Black History Month. I know it's Black Future Month and it's Black History Month. And it's just all about black. All black everything. It's the all black everything month. Y'all need to check out their Genius episodes on Netflix. It's pretty impressive. I already know that Kanye is going to run for president in 2024. That's an infomercial for Kanye West running for president in 2024. That Genius stuff, I love it. I really love it. But what it proves is that if you want to make it in any industry, in anything in life, you need a crack team. You need a tight, small team that believes in the dream and make believe it real. Everybody needs a team. Every black child in America needs an advocate like Dr. Dunda West. She was an amazing black woman, true force of nature. She was a goddess because she gave us Kanye. She gave us that, man. And what an amazing legacy. Dr. Dunda West was an amazing woman, and her spirit lives on through her son and through all the people that she helped touch. Because really, we won't help Kanye without Dr. Dunda West. I mean, she actually connected him with his mentors. She used to teach his mentors, the guys who taught him how to make beats, like what's the guy named Infinite, Doug Infinite. You know, I like how Kanye handled himself, diffusing the situation with his mentor, Jegna. I like to call him Jegna. I don't like the mentor word. When they had that falling out, when he was, having beers with him at the conference where he headlined, and several hours later, his man's in them. They on Doug Infinite blasting him, clowning him on Chicago radio. That's a couple hours later, right? And I like how Kanye handled it. Note to rappers: this is how you diffuse and settle beef. His mama taught him well. I like how they handled it because Kanye kept a cool head. They talked out of the range of the camera. It was squashed, but it was a wake-up call for Kanye. I didn't have no clue that Kanye did not get the support like I thought he would when he signed with The Rock, man. I thought Dane was a true believer at first, but it was amazing. Kanye is teaching us that we can't wait for stuff. Like, a lot of black folks right now, we talking about we wait for reparations. Can't wait for you gotta make stuff happen. Kanye created his opportunity. He was an alchemist. He created his opportunity. He manifests. I'm amazed. Cootie, I know Cootie's taking well taken care of. He should be. Cootie, I think his name Cootie, right? His brother, the cameraman, director, the one who rocked with Kanye from day one when they met, I believe, down in Atlanta back in 98. Cootie was working for Channel Zero. His TV talk show was very popular in Chicago. He met Kanye, who was a part of Mace Harlem World's movement. Mace was hot back in 98. Who's talking about Mace today? That you getting maced by a woman, but that's another story. Me too. But I'm just joking. But I mean, the fact that he could see that Kanye had that that's amazing. And all that footage, I thank God for people like Cootie. He's like kind of like, he is a true documentarian, kind of like he's what to Kanye. Cootie is to Kanye what the brother named Howard Bingham was to Muhammad Ali. Is that the brother who was Muhammad Ali's official photographer? Let me look it up. Thank you, brother Steve Mayfield, for the century mark. We love you madly. Yeah, I know y'all been missing me, but I'm changing up We All Be flow because it's time for a change. One thing I respect about Kanye, he knew when to leave his hometown, Chicago. He knew when he had to leave. If Kanye never left Chicago, we would not have the Kanye West we have today. And he really has been a blessing because Kanye West, to be honest, Kanye West is the closest thing that we have to a Miles Davis and a Picasso. He's Miles Davis and Picasso. Yeah, I said it. I don't care if y'all can rock with that or not. It is what it is. He is, when it's all said and done, Kanye is the closest thing we have to Picasso and Miles Davis. So we got to appreciate this brother. We not always agree with our dear brother on his perspectives, but really, a lot of his perspectives are not wrong. People don't like the messenger. They don't like the way he delivered the perspective. But he's on point with a lot of things. I mean, even with the fashion industry, he told y'all how it was going to be 6-7 years ago. How, it's hard to break in. It's very insulated. A lot of nepotism, good old boy type of network mentality. But he broke in. I had no idea, for example, that Yeezus, them shoes he got, in some circles are more popular and more expensive than Jordans. I had no idea till my cousin, who's a sneakerhead. Shout out to my dear cousin Caleb, a true sneakerhead. He loved Yeezus, man. He rocked them Kanye's. He rocked everything. But he put me on the game a couple of years ago about how serious is a thirst for Kanye stuff. I don't care for the boots, but I like his swag. I like his confidence. I see where he got it from with his mom. Because really, this documentary is about exposing the greatness of his mom, Dr. Donda West. And that's what it really is about. And praise long overdue, but even she can succumb to insecurity. As we all know, how she died is unfortunate. That as brilliant, as radiant as that black woman was, that she still had some insecurities like all of us, when it comes to our image and look. And I tell you something, California will make you feel very insecure. Because you go to L.A., man, those people got, like, it's a foodie heaven, but people got these amazing bodies, right? You in foodie heaven. L.A. one of the best places for foodies, man. Because you could go to a hole-in-the-wall place and find some of the best food ever. Like, I could go to a Mexican restaurant near LAX, a hole-in-the-wall, some of the best Mexican pizza I ever had in my life. I had in one of them hole-in-the-wall places. If you love hamburgers, LA is the place to be. You got In-N-Out, you got Fat Burger, you got Tommy Burger. That's like a double cheeseburger, chili cheese style, chili cheese fries, acid reflux central, but it's worth a bite. Even got a place called Johnny Pastrami, which according to the New York Times is one of the top, if not the top place to have pastrami. Now, you would think that pastrami is a specialty on the East Coast or the Midwest and places like Chicago, Milwaukee, but LA got it all. And they got some good-looking people. But a lot of these people probably are cosmetically made up. They're not real. They don't exist in nature, but they look so damn good and make you feel so damn bad about yourself if you're not careful. So it's easy. Even somebody like Donda West could get lost in the flashy lights. You know what I'm saying? God bless her soul. And thank you, Sister Dr. Donda West, for giving us, for sharing with the world your son, Kanye. Now, I'm a fan of a lot of old Kanye stuff, but I'll tell you about Kanye. I know I'll be talking about something else right now, but I just want to get this bit on my spirit. Kanye is a visionary, because when I first heard 808s and Heartbreak, I loved it. A lot of folks couldn't get with that. But he predicted what was to come in music with 808s and Heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? Even looking at the documentary about how he made College Dropout, he's in the W, recording stuff with no recording budget, with no type of budget. He making stuff happen. Even Through the Wire was ingenious, how they went to the dentist office, showing the dentist taking out his wires out his mouth and how they put it together. They piecemealed that thing together. It cost them $33,000, but billions of dollars later, that was a great investment. He got billions and billions of dollars by investing $33,000 in a video and believing in himself. And this is before social media, really. I mean, this is before hell, MySpace. Was there even Facebook? There was no Facebook. It wasn't available to the public. There was no YouTube when Kanye was doing this. It's genius. Brilliant. So, I mean, I think people should study and really watch those episodes in that docuseries and really get lifted and inspired that you could be what you want to be if you believe in yourself. You got to have that swagger, that confidence, that vision. You got to be able to have that alchemist spirit to be able to manifest what you want. Stop waiting for somebody to put you on. Put yourself on. I had no idea They even when he was signed to the Rock, he had them type of issues with them pushing back his release dates, not giving him a budget to work with. Impressive. Job well done, Kanye. And I already know the best is yet to come. And also, this is Black History, Black Future Month. You know, a lot of people got a problem with Kim Kardashian, but here's a true Black history fact. Black men made Kim Kardashian. Black men made her. OJ, Ray J, and Kanye, they made Kim Kardashian. The Kardashians would not have what they have without black men. Black men are needed in all levels of society, in all access of human activities. We need black men to be counted. Black hetero males are needed to stand up to be men. It's very important. And let me address this too. The Young Dolph Malcolm and Ahmaud Arbery show I did last. Now I know some cats don't believe that Ahmaud and Young Dolph should be mentioned in the same breath as a Malcolm X. I really do disagree with that because, like Baba Dick Gregory used to tell me, he said, brother Ron, a lot of times people remember you more how you died than how you live. Your death could be more important than your life, how you lived your life, to humanity. You look at George Floyd. I'm not judging George Floyd, but he wasn't doing no Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Dr. King stuff while he was alive. But his death has provided an important, contribution to making folks aware of inequities in our society. So his death had more meaning than his life. If that make any sense. Like Emmett Till. Emmett Till was no activist. He was down there visiting his relatives in Mississippi for the summer. He wasn't trying to change the world. You know what I'm saying? He was just being a kid and it cost him his life. But in his death, it helped inspire people to create a movement. Rosa Parks said when she was on that bus refusing to get out of her seat, all she could think about was Emmett Till and his face. That nobody can forget once you see it. But also what people don't talk about, that a couple of days before she refused to get off the bus and remove herself from the seat, she heard a speech by a very great black man that is no longer talked about, who was a household name at one point among Black America. That black man was Dr. T.R.M. Howard, or T.R.M. Howard, excuse me, T.R.M. Howard, and Theodore Roosevelt Mason Howard, I believe, from Kentucky. Dr. T.R.M. Howard is the reason why we know what happened to Emmett Till. He put his own resource. Dr. T.R.M. Howard back in the 50s was the wealthiest. Some people say he was the wealthiest black man in the state of Mississippi. He had a practice in Mountain Bayou, one of the first black towns in America, all black towns in America. Mountain Bayou in the Mississippi Delta, Mountain Bayou, Mississippi. He had a practice, very successful practice. He had owned restaurants. He owned a zoo. He created the first black swimming pool for black people in Mississippi. The first public black swimming pool was created and financed by Dr. T.R.M. Howard for black folks in Mississippi. Had an insurance company where he gave Medgar Evers, I believe, his first job coming out of college of Alcorn State. Medgar Evers was a protege of Dr. T.R.M. Howard. Medgar Evers' brother Charles was also a protege. Another protege was Fannie Lou Hamer. So Dr. Howard inspired some black folks to do some things, to shake it up, to create, as John Lewis would say, good trouble. Good trouble. Good trouble. So Dr. Howard, he helped find out what happened to Emmett Till. Well, y'all saw the Women of the Movement. I have not seen the last episodes, but I know they had Dr. Howard featured. But when Mamie Till came down to the murder trial for her son, she stayed with Dr. Howard. She stayed at his home in Mountain Bayou. As far as I know, that home still exists. It's a ranch-style home, but he had round-the-clock security. He had black men armed with guns. Dr. Howard believed in self-defense. He believed in knowing how to use a gun. A lot of our greatest civil rights leaders were gun advocates. Ida B. Wells was a gun advocate. A lot of Frederick Douglass. So this idea about being passive when they're trying to kill you and destroy your family, it doesn't fly with the real ones. Fannie Lou Hamer, they were not against the gun. But Dr. Howard used to go big game hunting in exotic places like Africa and all over the world. Dr. Howard was he was like the most interesting man in the world. It was nobody like Dr. Howard. You could not make this guy up in Hollywood. If you told somebody in Hollywood that I want to make a movie about a guy that like this that existed, they'll say this guy is not real. He doesn't exist. It's like Dick Gregory. If you sit down and actually look at his life and all his reinventions and stuff like that, this could not be one person. Dr. Howard was that man. But Dr. Howard did an investigation. He helped move and hide witnesses involved in the Emmett Till situation. He was the one to let us know that there was more than 2 white men involved in the killing of Emmett Till. There were several black people who were involved in the kidnapping and killing of Emmett Till. He called out J. Edgar Hoover for being nonchalant and complacent about the Emmett Till ordeal. They got him on J. Edgar Hoover's infamous enemies list back in the 50s, and they ran him out of Mississippi. He had to run for his life. But I think one of the reasons why they don't talk about Dr. Howard today is because he also used to abort babies. He was an abortionist, and he believed in some aspects of eugenics. He believed that in some aspects of eugenics, and he practiced abortion. But what kept him in power that he aborted a baby with a lot of powerful white people. White folks were, in shame. Abortions were illegal at that time, so they would come to Dr. Howard in the middle of the night, you know what I'm saying, and get the procedure done in a safe way for them. A lot of times people would die from getting these illegal abortions because what they were had. Sometimes people perform abortions in alleyways and all types of unclinical places. But Dr. Howard, he kept a lot of white folks' secrets down the Delta. That what kept him alive probably because he was not a step and fetch type of black man. He was a proud 10 toes down brother, and he went to school out in Cali. And also he was a journalist. I believe he wrote for the California Eagle when he was going to school out in California, and where he met his wife, who was a socialite, and her brother was one of the first marketing black executives at Pepsi. He actually put Ron Brown in a Pepsi commercial. Ad. He put Ron Brown when he was a little kid in a Pepsi ad commercial. They could target African Americans for Pepsi, and the rest is history. That's Ron Brown. He started out as a child star doing advertisements for Pepsi, and it was Dr. T.I.M. Howard's brother-in-law that discovered him and put him in the marketing ads for Pepsi back in the day. So I'm just telling y'all stuff y'all ain't gonna never get a lot of times from these other bloggers. I don't do all that libel and slander stuff a lot. I don't believe in it. I believe in giving out people information while we still can get it. So excuse me if I'm going so fast. I'll slow it down a little bit. But Dr. Howard was an amazing man. He went up to Chicago, started his practice up there on the South Side. He actually was one of the first black leaders to give money to the widow of Malcolm X. I think Malcolm would see him for money from time to time. And I know it's Founders Day weekend, whatever y'all call it, Nation of Islam. We're going to talk about the Nation of Islam today. Because we're going to talk about the Black Mafia, Temple number 12 in Philly. That's the one they put Malcolm in charge of. Malcolm was in charge of Temple number 7 up in New York, and also Temple 12. And he gonna see they was afraid of Malcolm. They knew if Malcolm became Elijah Muhammad's successor, he gonna shut down crap they were doing in places like Temple 12 in Philadelphia. That was the birthplace of the Black Mafia. I don't know if y'all are hip to the Black Mafia. We'll be talking about them today because the subject matter we're talking about, tragic demise of Sister Michele Burgen, promising young editor, newspaper person, editor at at Ebony Magazine, was found dead at New York's LaGuardia Airport in her rental car back on February 25th, 1980, with execution-style bullet wound to the back of the head. And a lot of people believe that she was a victim of the Black Mafia family out of Philadelphia. People believe she was a drug courier because she had access to, for her job, she would travel around the country. And so she had, might have been moving. She was a drug mule. And I'm not saying this as a disrespect to her, but some people theorized that she was a drug mule or courier for the Black Mafia family out of Philadelphia. And that one of her people that was working with her got caught by the feds and became a snitch. So it felt like she was compromised, so they got rid of her. And they left no evidence except for the fact that her rental car information was in her car, in the rental car at the time. I think they forgot it, overlooked it, and realized they left it behind. They took all her identification from her money, everything, except for their rental car information. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some theories behind it and some other stuff. We're going to get a good, thorough education. I'm going to give y'all at least 2 hours of edutainment today. Because I can't do, I mean, I see people doing marathon shows. I can't do the Young Dolph 8-hour shows. I can't do them. One day I might have caller ins, but I don't see nobody have the energy to do like 8-hour shows and wake up and do them again. That's crazy. But I mean, but I respect the passion, you know. And speaking of Young Dolph is a modern because I realized listen to his music. Now my sister listens to his whole discography. I have not heard one song that Young Dolph has done or did that involved killing black people. As far as I know, all Young Dolph songs deal with getting money, getting kitty cat, and getting high. I have not heard a Young Dolph song. You know, he might slip with his ops and his ops girlfriend or baby mama, but he never talked about killing no black person on wax. That's impressive to me, considering the genre of music he's classified being in. The hit did not talk about killing black folks in his songs. He did not talk about selling crack or cocaine to black people in his song because he's a product of crackheads. No disrespect, but his family, his mom and dad were crackheads. They had a chemical dependency problem. And they good people. I met them at Young Dolph's honorary street naming back in December. And actually, his father went to school with my mom. They went to high school together, Hamilton class in 1977. Good people, man. I got a chance to tell them, I'm glad y'all didn't, that you didn't pull out and then she didn't swallow. I'm glad y'all had Young Dolph, but Young Dolph didn't talk about killing black folks in the song, but his ops did, which is interesting. Young Dolph didn't talk about killing black people. He talked about getting high, getting kitty cat, and getting money. He talked about having goons, but he was talking about doing it in bodily harm to black folks in his lyrics. So I just think the fact that he was that aware on that level like that is interesting to me. Because some of my favorite rappers do talk about killing black folks all the time. Or like they talking about doing harm to the community by selling drugs, like crack. Like Jay-Z, my number 2. He made his whole career about being a dope dealer. American Gangster soundtrack. I love that soundtrack that he did. It's all about selling drugs, right? Selling crack. Even Kanye. I don't hear no Kanye songs really talking about doing harm to black people. That's why I think Rockefeller was hesitant, because you got people on there named Petey Crack and Benny Siegel. Buzzy Siegel's birthday is coming up. I think that's my favorite gangster. I think his birthday February 28th. He was born February 28th, 1906. But I know Suge Knight, when they did the documentary on Suge Knight for Showtime, he talking about his favorite mob movie was Bugsy. And Bugsy was an all right mob movie, but it was flawed, but it was, this Warren Beatty did a good job with what he had. I thought it was impressive. And I still watch it from time to time, even though it's not accurate by a long stretch of imagination, but it's entertaining. But Petey Crack, Benny Siegel, the stuff that Jay-Z was talking about. But Kanye was more of a backpack rapper. I know he made fun of it recently, like he tried to discredit. But I wish that Jay-Z would have did a whole album with Mos Def, because they had great chemistry. Like how he did with Jay-Z, Watch the Throne. He should have did a whole album with Mos Def like that. But I'm talking about Dr. Howard, right? He moved to the South Side. I'm all over the place. He moved to the South Side, Chicago. Chicago was the promised land for black folks back in the day. A lot of great black folks came out of Chicago, product of Chicago, came through Chicago. You gonna have black America without Chicago, period. It was one time before Atlanta was the black capital of black America. Chicago, the promised land. Sweet home, Chicago. Oh, baby, don't you want to go to the land of California? Sweet home, Chicago. So Chicago was the place. Yeah, so ain't no coincidence Kanye's from Chicago. Because people talking about, well, Dolph ain't from Memphis. He is from Memphis. He was born in Chicago, but he's from Memphis. Kanye was born in Atlanta, but he's from Chicago. You understand what I'm saying? He was raised, Aretha Franklin was born in Memphis, but she's from Detroit. I was born in Knoxville, but I'm from Memphis. I was raised here. I'm not from Knoxville. I was born in Knoxville. So you will see what I'm saying? Like people get that, well, he's not really Memphis. He more Memphis. I learned that cats like that's born in different places that come to Memphis to live, whatever, or raise. We more Memphis than cats born and raised in Memphis. We rep Memphis more than they rep Memphis. They ashamed of Memphis. Memphis is mythical, man. It's a mythological phenomenon. There are more songs about Memphis in American recorded music history any place in the country. Memphis is a powerful place because of the location of where it is in the country. And everything comes through like Chicago. It's in the middle of the country. So everything comes through there. So what I'm saying is that it cats be tripping me out. They from Memphis, but they want to be somewhere else. But when I go to different places, when I tell guys and girls I'm from Memphis, it opens doors. Like them cats say, you Memphis cats, we expect greatness from you guys. Wherever you go, we expect y'all to put us on. You got cats that are ashamed of Memphis. They moved to Atlanta, ain't doing nothing in Atlanta. They say Atlanta ain't nothing. I said, you ain't adding. You didn't add nothing from where you was from. Like Kanye, before he went to New York, he was contributing where he was from. He was making beats. He was coming up. He was making a name for himself where he was from. So if you're not doing nothing from where you from, what make you think you gonna add something to where you going? See, ain't where you from is where you at mentally and spiritually. It's where your mind is at. It's where your spirit is at. That's how you contribute. But with Dolph, and he loved Memphis, man. He like, people talking he's from Chicago. He's not from Chicago. He was born in Chicago. He from Memphis. He rep Memphis. Listen to his music. He don't rep Chicago. He's not naming landmarks in Chicago or food places in Chicago. He naming food. Talking about Jack Pirtles, man. That's a Memphis thing. Jack Pirtles is Memphis. They ain't Chicago. Y'all got Hurls up in Chicago. We got Jack Pirtles. We got Gus down here. I mean, I go in Atlanta. I say, yeah, you know, Gus is from Memphis, right? Well, it's from the Memphis area. But I don't know, man. But speaking of Chicago, let's talk about. Okay, I'm 26 minutes in. Let's go ahead and talk about what we need to talk about. Thank y'all for being patient. Oh my God. Sometimes I don't feel like I want to do a show, and I do a show. I don't know how to get off when I do the show. But let's do a history lesson because it's crazy that it's so much Black history out here that's not known. There's some Black folks that I don't want to celebrate Black history. Well, you don't know too much. You know, my mom is an educator. She was in school the other day, and it was a Black woman teaching Black kids about Black history. And she said that the U.S. government created Black History Month. And she didn't even know who Carter G. Woodson was. She didn't know who Dr. Carter G. Woodson was. And this is an educator of our children. Now, they talking about some critical race theory. We don't even know anything about anything. We don't even read books no more. I went to Smithsonian Black African American Museum, right? The same year it opened back in 2016. Me and my mom went. We was going to a ASALA conference. ASALA is the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. It was founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson back in the day, who founded Negro History Week, which led to the formation of Black History Month. But when we went down there to Smithsonian, it was a big ado. There was nothing on Dr. Carter G. Woodson. How you gonna have an African American History Museum and hardly have anything that honors the amazing legacy of Dr. Carter G. Woodson? Hardly anything. It's like people got a problem giving this man any type of credit. But read his miseducation of the Negro that came out in the 30s, and what he was talking about is unfortunately still relevant today as it concerns so-called Negroes, so-called Black folks, so-called Native, Indigenous people, whatever you want to call yourself, because you can't deal with the reality of the situation. So fantasy world. But why is there people all the time giving Dr. Carter G. Woodson credit for anything? I remember we had a local ASALA celebration in Memphis at Lemoyne Owen College, a historical Black college and university. The same college where Marion Bergen went back in the day. We had some Omega brothers there. And Carter G. Woodson was Omega, from my understanding. So they even tried to discredit that brother. They're saying, he didn't do all. Yes, he did. I know what you're saying. It takes a village, right? But who's the vision? It's like Kanye. Kanye didn't do all that by himself, but he had a vision that a small group of committed people brought into the vision and made it real. Dr. Kokayi Family didn't do all the things by himself, but he had the vision. He worked with the village to make that vision real. So you need visionary leadership to work towards something. We are all wired to want to be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves, to support something that's grander than ourselves. That's how human beings are wired. That's why we can be wired for religion. Because to me, I don't have no issue with people's religions, right? I'm not one of these people gonna tell you Jesus wasn't real, and if you don't believe me, I can't rock with you, right? Because what I have learned is that you never argue with somebody about their religion. What I mean, whatever you believe is your religion. It's not what you know, it's what you believe, because people are more emotional about what they believe than by the things that they know to be factual. They are more emotional and passionate about things that can't be proven than things that can. This is the way people work. So I'm not gonna waste no time arguing. Is it Yahweh or Allah, or whatever, Buddha? That's your business. Whatever keeps you in a space where you can be productive and contribute to society in a very positive and meaningful way. Hey, I support you in that. But it's quite fascinating living in this day and age. And I'm just all over the place. Not really. I think people don't have appreciation just for talking about something that's worth talking about. But let's get on with the show. I'm 30 minutes in now. Man, it's weird, but the lady is an educator. She told them kids that the U.S. government the U.S. government endorsed it. They confirmed it. They got the resources behind it. But it's like Kanye. College he wasn't have no budget when he started this Negro History Week thing, and then it grew into Black History Month. It's like, well, King Holiday was started by the grassroots. Was started by his wife Coretta and a small group of committed people. It's not just Stevie Wonder singing "Happy Birthday" song, to Dr. King. Coretta started working on her man's legacy the day after he got killed, right across the street from where I'm at right now doing this podcast. She worked on, and people told her, "Don't do it, ain't gonna work out, walk away." It's folks that was in King's inner circle that told her to let the dream die with the dreamer. She said, "Hell no, his death cannot be in vain." So it took her years, but she finally got his birthday into a federal holiday. But the way this lady would tell it, she'll say, "Well, the federal government created King Holiday." No, it was a grassroots effort, starting with his widow and with the people. Same thing with Memorial Day. Black folks created Memorial Day, but people tell you the federal government created Memorial Day. No, they got behind it and endorsed it and validated and made it a holiday. But Black people created Memorial Day to honor the dead. We created that. We created a lot with Juneteenth. They have you thinking that Joe Biden created Juneteenth. Now he created prison opportunities for Black folks to be in prison through his policies, but he didn't create Juneteenth. But the way this sister would tell it, and she's an educator, she's an indoctrinator. See, a lot of people are educated fools from uneducated schools or something, but now they educated fools. A lot of people y'all think y'all endorse and they got titles. In the military, you don't have to be that smart to be a general. You just got to be told. You just got to do what you told and don't ask questions. If you do what you told and don't ask questions, you keep getting promoted. You become a general by not being a genius. You be an idiot and be a general. Come on, man. Anyway, that's been proven time and time again in history. But let me find something. Okay. Let's talk about this beautiful Black woman right here, Michele Burgen. Only lived to be 26 years young. Was found dead under questionable circumstances February 26, 1980. That was a Monday. So let's talk about what happened to this sister. I'm gonna read some things from articles from that time, and also I'm gonna offer some other insight about what could cause her demise, what could have possibly caused her demise, right? So thank y'all for rocking with me, for being patient. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. It's an honor to do this on her. And like I said, I'm sorry for this taking so long to get to the point. And I want to encourage you all, it's so much because Black folks so against, we so mad, and really a lot of us love white people more than we love ourselves. We be fake mad about Black History Month being the shortest month of the year. We fake mad. We love anything white folks give us, man. We just want their attention. We like that dog. We just want them to pat us on our head. It's gonna be all right, boy. You part of the family. Black folks weird, man. We weird. We're weird people. That's why we can't get no justice, because it's just us wanting to be with them. And then, and white folks try to tell us for years, stay away, color only, whites only. We know white folks trying to tell you we ain't no good. But black folks are, man, we want to be with y'all, man. Why y'all say we can't be with y'all? Because we evil, we monsters. Don't y'all understand our history? Look at our look at our credit history when it comes to how we deal with other people that don't look like us. Now let's talk about this was 42 years ago yesterday. What happened to the mysterious death and demise of Sistar Michele Burgen. I'm reading this Chicago Tribune dated Wednesday, February 27, 1980, by a black journalist named Clarence Page. Now, this is what he said. We're going to be read a couple hour articles and other stuff. The body of a young woman found shot to death in a parking lot at New York's LaGuardia Airport was identified today as that of Michele Burgen, an Ebony magazine assistant editor and former reporter for the Tribune. The body of Miss Bergen, 3710 North Pine Grove Avenue, was discovered Monday night by New York Port Authority policemen on a routine patrol of the parking area. The body, fully clothed and with one bullet wound in the back of the head, was found dumped over in the front seat of a rental car. The slayer took great pains to cover his tracks, Detective Richard Beck of the New York City police said. All money and identification were missing, and the car doors were locked and the key taken, he said. Only the car's rental forms, apparently overlooked by the slayer, and able to track down the victim's identity. The car was signed out with Miss Bergen's driver's license and an Ebony magazine credit card, police said. Herbert Nipson, Ebony executive editor in the magazine's headquarters, 820 South Michigan Avenue, said she was on vacation and had told co-workers she was planning to visit her parents in California this week. Her mother, Mrs. Louise Bergen of Los Angeles, told the Tribune that her daughter had mentioned she would stop at a convention in Philadelphia or something like that before going to California. According to the rental forms, the car was signed out Saturday night, shortly after her arrival in New York from Chicago, and was to be returned Sunday. New York police searched area hotels and questioned other Ebony officials for clues as to who might have seen her last. She was a wonderful woman and a fine writer, said Nipson. Miss Bergen, a 1976 graduate of Michigan State University, worked as a summer intern for the Tribune that year and later joined Ebony. Miss Bergen was the half sister of Denise Nichols, star of the former ABC television series Room 222. So this is like an article came out. She used to work at the Chicago Tribune. This came out February 27th, 1980, a Wednesday, just 2 days after her body was found in LaGuardia under suspect circumstances. So also I want to read an update that was done not too long after this story, right? Read this update. Let's see if I can find it. Thank y'all for being patient with me. I appreciate it. I'm just surprised, like, there's no YouTube videos about Michele Burgen. And this stuff, to me, this should be talked about. Her murder should be solved. I think it really was solved, but it was a cover-up for obvious reasons because she was just in over her head. But this is from the Afro-American, April 5th, 1980. A little short update. New York cops give update in slaying. A New York Police Department detective probing the mysterious slaying of Ebony magazine assistant editor Michele Burgen says her death was in a way related to drugs and that one lucky break could lead him to the young woman's slayer. Detective Harvey Goodhart of the 114th Precinct Homicide Squad in Astoria, Queens, declined to say just how the slaying was drug related, but added that Mrs. Bergen was not a drug dealer, but was rather in New York to do someone a favor. Miss Bergen, 26, was found shot to death February 25th in a rented car at LaGuardia Airport in Queens. She was on a week's vacation at the time and had planned to visit her parents and half sister, movie actress Denise Nichols in Los Angeles. During a routine patrol, a Port Authority policeman discovered her body lying on its side in the front seat of a 1979 Ford with the doors locked and the keys missing. No weapon was found at the scene, one of the two major airports in New York City. Goodhart said that the drug involvement was not a long-term one. Whatever involvement there was, she was trying to get out of it, he said. The fact that her job took her around the United States on assignment does not mean she was a drug courier, he added. The detective said Miss Bergen had been very upset during the few weeks before her death. She had been acting like something was wrong, and her last weeks on this earth were very uncomfortable for her, Goodhart said. He and Mrs. Bergen's family, he said Mrs. Bergen's family has been very cooperative during the investigation. Goodhart has been working continuously on the case. What brought Mrs. Bergen to New York is unclear, and it has not been determined where she went upon her arrival here. Although Goodhart said there are some leads. However, one report said that she told her boyfriend, Michael Say, that she was going to drive to Philadelphia to meet Ernest Edwards of the World Community of Islam in the West concerning a position as managing editor of a weekly publication Edwards planned to launch in Chicago. Mrs. Bergen, who grew up in Detroit, had worked for Ebony since 1976. She was a graduate of Michigan State University in East Lansing. That's from April 5th, 1980, right? Ain't that interesting, y'all? See, they let you know, hey, we're not saying she was involved in drugs, but she was trying to get out of the situation, and she called herself doing a favor. So we know that the people she met with, or the person she met with, was a person that she trusted with her life, or she thought she could trust with her life. So I mean, then that Ernest guy, this guy came out of Mosque 12 in Philly. That's the origins of the black mafia, man. Y'all have no idea. Now I could go on YouTube and online. There's a lot of articles and videos about the black mafia family out of Philadelphia. So y'all talk about Big Meech, and what they did, BMF. I'm talking the black mafia out of Philly. They were vicious, man. They were some cutthroat dudes. The nation knew about these guys. Chicago knew about the black mafia, about Philly. They knew about Mosque number 12. Because even the Mosque 25, where them killers that allegedly came from that got Malcolm, their leadership was involved allegedly in drug trafficking. The leader of that mosque, James Sabaz, was found dead. I heard some story he was decapitated. They found him decapitated allegedly. I don't see, like, this problem with this stuff is I don't know what's real and what's not. I'm just reading sources. I don't know, but they say he got done real bad. He despised Malcolm allegedly. He had no love for Malcolm X, the brother who ran the Mosque 25, but Mosque 12 was running stuff in Atlantic City, not just in Philly. They were running stuff in Atlantic City, and allegedly they had heroin deals with the New York Mafia, with the five families, which is interesting. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that today. I know it's Founders Day, but come on, let's stop joking ourselves. Malcolm knew the type of cats he was dealing with. They want, I don't know why the Nation of Islam just can't own up to some of this stuff, right? They want to throw everything on Malcolm, right? But Elijah and them put him in charge of Mars 12, and Malcolm was gonna clean house. I think the Black Mafia founding was not officially founded until like 3 years after Malcolm was killed. So Malcolm was in the process of getting stuff right, but they kicked him out the nation, and the rest is history. But based on the things I have read about this case, I really do believe that she could have been a drug courier for the Black Mafia family out of Philly. And one of the people I understand that was under her, that she brought into the game, I believe became a snitch. I'm not, I read this somewhere. I'm going to go look up these sources, but one of them people compromised her. So they thought that maybe she was a snitch and was being compromised, and they got rid of her. I can understand that. It's the nature of the game. It was a cold world. Beautiful young black lady, had a lot going for herself. Like they said, her sister was a TV star. Now y'all might not know her from Room 222. Yeah, I do know her from In the Heat of the Night, right? The Denise Nichols. Let me show a picture. Gorgeous woman, gorgeous black woman. She also did that movie, I believe, Ghost Dead with Bill Cosby. Um, Show a picture of Denise Nichols. Let me show this picture of Denise Nichols. This is her at her sister's funeral. Yeah, it wasn't. They talked about it in Jet magazine, but that's Denise. That's a beautiful black woman. Unfortunately, she's there, filled with grief. Miss Nichols prepares to enter a funeral limousine as pallbearers exit services with her sister's body. Man, that's a horrible nightmare for a parent to outlive your children or your child, and not only that, not to find out what really happened to her officially, like not knowing why she was killed or was taken away like that. But that's Denise Nichols under her sister, Michigan girls, and I'm trying to find something else. I'm trying to find that Jet magazine. Y'all talk about that Jet magazine article somebody brought up in the chat. Thank y'all for being patient. I'm just trying to work through some stuff. And also I want to like I said, talking about the Black Philly thing, the Black Mafia family. Talk about Mos 12 and all the other stuff they done. I mean, horrible things they done. This is under Elijah Muhammad's umbrella. I'm not saying Elijah Muhammad was involved directly, but he had to know what was going on in Philly. His people in Chicago had to know what the guys were doing out in Philadelphia. The guys were vicious, stone cold killings. They even intimidated the police, the Philly mob, the Black Philadelphia Mafia, or the Black Mafia family, or Black Mafia, whatever. I don't know, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Hell, trying to figure this out. Trying to find that page. Oh man, I be having a lot of stuff open. Anyway, I do believe that she was killed by the Black Mafia family out of Philly. That makes sense to me. I'm gonna read something from Lipstick Alley. I ain't gonna share it like that. Yeah. Thought I had that Ebony magazine picture pulled up. I think I do. I'll show this one. That's Denise Nichols on the left. And that's a sister on the right. Beautiful, beautiful black women, gorgeous women, very educated, sophisticated, successful black women in their own right. You know, she talked about this is like from 1990. This Jet magazine article from 1990. Denise Nichols, Ghost Dead Star tales of experience with ghost of slain sister. So I guess we could read a little bit of that and move it along. Like I said, thank y'all for being patient, man. I just trying to find all this stuff. So we'll read that. So we all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. We all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. Like I said, I'm gonna have you out here on the 2 hours. I was concerned that there was no information about this woman like on YouTube. I said all the stuff they got on YouTube, nobody did a video about Michele Burgen and what happened to her. And I saw it was the 42nd anniversary approaching and has passed because it was yesterday. And so I thought to myself, let me do a something about her because this is stuff I want to do now. Like, I'm not interested in interviewing a lot of people. I'm gonna interview people still one day, but I'm not interested. There's enough people that got interviews out there, hours and hours of footage. Y'all could go somewhere else to get that, but I'm trying to figure out a new way to live, my new path that I'm looking. I want to tell these stories. Okay, Denise Nichols. Let's read this article together, family. Let's read it together, because a family that reads together stays together. Anyway, let's read this. We all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. Okay. And how the format is Denise Nichols, Ghost Dead Star tales of experience with ghosts of slain sister. Beautiful actress Denise Nichols, who portrays the centrally aggressive girlfriend of Bill Cosby's film character, whose ghost tried to keep alive their romance in the movie Ghost Dad, says she believes in ghosts and tells of her experience with, let's see, with the ghost of her slain sister, journalist Michele Burgen. It was a decade ago in February 1980 when the tragedy occurred. A police blotter in New York City told a sketchy story of the murder of her sister. The 26-year-old Michigan State University journalism, I got this right, journalism graduate was a promising editor on the staff of Ebony. She had left the magazine's Chicago headquarters for New York with plans to leave the Big Apple and fly to Los Angeles for a visit with her parents and her actress/sister before returning to her job. 2 days after her arrival in New York, police reported that the body of Miss Bergen was found locked in a rental car at LaGuardia Airport. Homicide detectives who probed the murder said there were no clues, no suspect, and no motive for the slaying. Although her purse was missing. Y'all remember that? Her purse was missing. Mrs. Bergen's expensive jewelry, which she was wearing, had not been touched. Interesting. So they left her jewelry, but took her identification and other stuff, money. Miss Nichols and her brother, Otto, a manager at Chrysler in Detroit, crisscrossed the country searching for clues that would finger the killer, but found nothing. Okay. That will bring about an arrest, trial, and conviction. Interviewed recently in Los Angeles, where she previewed the Ghost Dad movie for the first time, Miss Nichols said that unlike Cosby, who produced the movie, she believes in ghosts. I'm not talking about Casper, the friendly ghost in comic books, not that kind of ghost, Mrs. Nichols allowed. I'm talking about the ghosts of people. She said that she recalled the periodic visits of the ghost of her slain sister. Michelle has always been with me since her death. Sometimes she is in the car with me while I'm driving and we talk. The Ghost Dad star told Jet. Her sister's visits and their sisterly talks have helped her emerge from grief that put her career on hold. I had my sister's death to deal with. My family was fractured and in great pain, she said. Michelle was the youngest and she had great promise. She was very beautiful and very bright, and now she was gone, the actress lamented. The bizarre and unsolved murder plunged Miss Nichols into an extended depression. I really stayed at home in my house for about a year without doing anything. I was really out of it, she said. Although the memory of Mrs. Nichols is still scarred by the murder, the ghostly visits by her sister apparently have helped raise her spirits. I decided to take some writing classes to try and find structure to start pulling myself out of this depression I was in, she said. That decision resulted in her earning a bachelor's degree and completing half of the credits for a master's degree at the University of Southern California. It has been a lot of hard work, a lot of pushing, and a lot of trying to get back in there and let people know that I'm still here, she explained. Okay, so this is from I believe 1990. And also, y'all do know that all the Jet magazines ever created is available for y'all to look at on Google. The whole archive of Jet magazine, from where it started until when it ended, is available free of charge. You go through a whole magazine issue. Jet Beauty of the Week. I love those. A lot of them normally came from DC, Virginia, Maryland, them the areas, but they were beautiful. But it's amazing to look through that archive. You know, we talking about Black history. This is important. I remember Bill Cosby. She mentioned Bill Cosby because he produced Ghost Dad. He starred in Ghost Dad. But I had a chance to talk to Bill Cosby this past summer. And it was the day after my great uncle died. The late, great James French Sr., Uncle Frenchie, who was the founder of what used to be the oldest Black-owned newspaper in the state of South Carolina, excuse me, the Charleston Chronicle, which is now defunct. because the visionary is dead, and there's a lot of crazy stuff that, but it almost made it to his 50th anniversary, but it died with the editor or with the visionary, which was my Uncle Frenchie. And he told me, he gave me some advice to give them. He said, don't sell the house. Save all the papers. Go in the basement, go in the attic, and save all the papers. Those are the stories. You got to save those. Like there's value in those stories that paper documented from a Black perspective. He was telling us, look, once our stories get to Hollywood, we no longer are the character keepers of our story. They'll take us and take us out the story. So Bill Cosby was animated by Black folks preserving our history through storytelling and keeping our documentation of our stories. So I mean, yeah, y'all can say whatever I want about Bill Cosby. To me, I don't care because it's BS. Like I said, I can't trust a media that will destroy Bill Cosby with information as it relates to what Putin and them. I don't trust it. Can't trust it, but yeah. So this is fascinating stuff. Like I said, Denise Nichols was in the heat of the night. She married Carol O'Connor. That was her boyfriend, the Cheryl, in the heat of the night. The great TV show, not the movie with Howard Rollins playing Mr. Tibbs. I guess the late great Howard Rollins. I mean, people don't talk about Howard Rollins. He was a hell of an actor, man. I loved him in A Soldier Story. He was good in anything he was in. Ragtime, man. These are classic movies. And unfortunately, he died too young. Tragic circumstances, but Howard Rollins was in the heat of the night, and she was Carol O'Connor's girlfriend, and they got married on the show. So let me find it. But we got to tell our stories, man. That's why I said I was just so shocked that there was nothing on YouTube about this lady. This gorgeous, talented Black woman cut down. She wasn't even in the prime of her life. I mean, just cut down and just bizarre. Just left in a rental car at LaGuardia. It's like something from Sopranos. Just crazy, insane stuff. But we got to tell these stories. We got to keep the memory of Michele Burgen alive, and hopefully there could be some justice. But I believe the people that actually killed her, they dead. I think it was the Black Mafia that did it. I mean, it sounded like it was a professional hit, and the character that she was working with, and that Ernest guy, he was connected to Moss 12 at one point. He was alleged member of the Black Mafia family. I'm trying to figure why would she leave Ebony for a weekly newspaper, a weekly community newspaper? What would it be? Because she got all these perks. She able to travel around the country, meet all these powerful, influential people. Why would she want to leave Ebony for a weekly newspaper? For a small weekly community newspaper with a little budget. I don't know. I'm not, I ain't the smartest person, I just think it's strange to think about. But let me show that Jet cover with Denise Nichols talking about her sister. And she's a gorgeous Black woman. Her sister was beautiful. It's a damn shame. That's a sister in that smaller picture. That's Denise Nichols. This is from what year was this? This is August 6, 1990. Like I said, all the Jet magazine that ever was made is on Google, man. I'm gonna show y'all this. This information. So we don't tell our people how to research for themselves. We just want, I'm gonna be the talking head, and whatever I say go. I be getting stuff wrong. I be mispronouncing names. I'm a human being. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm not trying to mislead y'all because a lot of people think he's a charlatan. He got that date wrong, that person wrong. That's the wrong picture. I said, no, I just had bad information. And please forgive me if I mislead you, but I'm not trying to do it on purpose. Okay. That's my whole thing, but that was down. But let me share with y'all this other thing about Jet Magazine. Every Jet Magazine ever created is online. It's on Google. You see that? That's Google Books. Every Jet Magazine. See, that's her with Carol O'Connor, Denise Nichols, and Carol O'Connor. That's down on Jet Magazine. All the Jet Magazines ever produced are online, archived through Google Books. They've been like that for years. A lot of y'all don't even know that. Y'all think I gotta go to eBay just get a copy of Jet Magazine from 1990 or 94 or 1955. It's right here. So this came out May 9th, 1994. That's Denise Nichols, The Pretty Red Bone with Carol O'Connor, Archie Bunker, whatever. wear it on TV drama in the heat of the night. You can actually look through the books, man. It's not just a cover. You can scroll, got everything. Got the Jet Beauty of the Week, got everything. You go back all the way to the 50s, man. This stuff is so incredible because I remember I was looking through Jet magazine around the time President Kennedy got killed. When President Kennedy got killed, and you had people talking about in the article or in the magazine around that time, should we suspend the civil rights movement? They actually were talking about suspending the civil rights movement because President Kennedy got killed. And no disrespect to the President Kennedy, but I thought that was insane. Look at this. Y'all see this? It's amazing. They go Sidney Poitier and our boy Harry Belafonte. They talking about mixed color. They talking about black dudes marrying Asian women out in the 50s and 60s. This stuff is crazy. It's just, all this stuff is online, man. Y'all not taking advantage of this stuff, man. All this stuff is online. Y'all got all our history in real time or preserved. I mean, this is why it's so important to tell our stories, man. It is so important to tell these stories. Let's see if I can find that issue that I was talking about them suspending the civil rights movement because President Kennedy got killed. That stuff was crazy. Oh man, find that issue. Man, this stuff is all. I mean, y'all know, man. These things are great reads. You know, interesting journalism. They talking about swirling back in the 50s. Talking about black men dating Asian women or marrying Asian women. They're talking about all types of interest. That's the President Kennedy issue. I saw it. Let me see something. Maybe they talking about that's the President Kennedy issue. Like I tell you, I ain't lying to y'all, man. I'm trying to give y'all some good stuff. See, I mean, people talking about this on YouTube. On YouTube, they talking about some bull crap. Only 20 cents, December 12th, 1963. The legacy JFK leaves Negroes. The black folks loved JFK back then. They were crazy about JFK, boy. Hardly did anything for black folks, but black folks, man, just the thought of JFK. Trying to see. Actually, some Negro leaders to support Johnson. Okay, so this is what they were talking about. The spin of the civil rights movement over JFK. And well planned hate. What happened to Young Dolph was well planned hate, right? If JFK was a martyr, y'all ain't gonna say JFK was a martyr for the cause? Mm. I don't know. This was one Jet magazine that came out around this time that really was. You had black people really debating should we continue the civil rights movement because President Kennedy was killed. I thought that was crazy. How many black folks got killed? I mean, no disrespect, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was thinking about canceling the civil rights movement. Okay, I read this part. The SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, will not halt demonstrations at JFK Memorial. Replying to Arthur Lewis Lomax's suggestion that civil rights groups should call a moratorium on direct action anti-segregation demonstrations until January as a memorial to the assassinated President JFK or John F. Kennedy, SNCC Chairman John Lewis, said one word, no. Even in SNCC's telegram of condolences to Attorney General Robert Kennedy, Lewis hinted that his group would continue action, saying the work that he, President Kennedy, has begun in behalf of the Negro and the nation must be finished. Wow, that's John Lewis. Then he bluntly told Jet, our feeling is that there should not be a cooling off period. The best we can do in his memory is to continue to seek to bring about justice and freedom in this country. There should be no slowdown at all. A slowdown wouldn't be the wishes or desires of the late president. So here's Lincoln Memorial Crime for President Kennedy. So you see how I'm saying, like, you see how Negroes were thinking. Y'all talking about how Negroes think now. You see how kind of backwards thinking we got. Still a long way to go. So I guess it was a Kennedy issue. They're actually thinking about suspending the movement. So it's already had the propaganda machine spinning for Kennedy. Hmm. going through this, but this is Jet, man. Y'all need to read this stuff. This stuff, like to read this stuff from that time. Yeah, they say in the funeral, let's say the Secret Service for the funeral, the Secret Service took no chances. I mean, he already dead. Y'all mission failed, mission not accomplished, or maybe it was. But I just wanted to share this with y'all. I think it was very important. I ain't gonna read all this stuff, but I just want you to know that black folks actually thought about suspending the movement because President Kennedy got killed. But like what Dr. John Henry Clark said, bury the man and continue the plan. Bury the man and continue the plan. It was interesting, you know, that year also Medgar Evers got killed. And there's a picture of Medgar Evers meeting. I mean, not Medgar Evers, but President John F. Kennedy meeting with the widow of Medgar Evers, Sister Merle Evers, their children, and also Medgar Evers' brother Charles in the Oval Office. He probably had no idea that he'll be killed a few months later after Medgar Evers, about maybe 5 months later. You know, that's weird to look at that picture of President Kennedy meeting with Merle Evers and Medgar Evers' brother Charles in the Oval Office. That's an interesting picture to look at, realizing that 5 months later he will be dead too. So anyway, let's get back to the subject at hand. I just want to share, but go online. Y'all can Google up all the jets, and Emmett Till. Y'all can see the Emmett Till one with the infamous photo. The whole, I mean, it's amazing to read that stuff from that era. And you think about the stuff that's going on now, you know, because like I tell people back then, back in the 60s, they had a BLM movement. It was called the Black Liberation Movement. And it was compromised like the Black Lives Movement was. Because all these organizations were compromised by the government. The fact that you had 9 FBI informants in the Audubon that day that Malcolm got killed in front of his family let you know what time it is, because the government did not call them as witnesses at the murder trial. It's like what Geronimo Pratt, Tupac's godfather, he was at a meeting with top-level Black Panthers in Oakland, and yet they accused him of killing this black woman. I'm not black woman, but accused him of killing this white lady at a tennis court, I think in L.A. And he spent 30 years in prison almost, and the government had information. He was under surveillance by the U.S. government. They knew exactly where he was at when all this stuff went down with the murder of the white woman on the tennis court. He was nowhere near L.A. I think it was L.A. That woman got killed, and the government knew this, and the jury, they did not share this evidence with the court or with the jury. Had the jury got this evidence, he would not spend 30 years. And you know what made it worse? I'm telling you what made it worse. I read that Huey Newton told Black Panther Party members not to testify on behalf of Geronimo Pratt. He told leadership. Now, Huey P. Newton's birthday was February 17th. He shared the same birthday as Michael Jordan and Jim Brown. He's one of our Black history goats. No, make no mistake about it. But I read that a couple times in places. I read stuff. I don't know what's true or not. Is out there that allegedly he told people not to help Geronimo Pratt in his time of need. And Geronimo lost a lot to the struggle, man. You know, he lost 30 years, almost 30 years of his life in prison. You know, Johnny Cochran helped get him out. He got out in 97. I believe he died in Tanzania back in 2010, I'm not mistaken. But he got a multi-million-dollar settlement from the government, but those years he can't get back. Then he lost his wife, and his wife was pregnant. They killed her and dumped her in the Los Angeles ravine, I believe. They found her stuff in the mattress. This is this version I heard that she was stuffed in the mattress, whatever. She was pregnant. He went through a lot of stuff. He went to Vietnam, served his country. But when people talk about Crips and all that stuff, there's a great documentary called Bastards of the Party, made by Clay Bone Sloan, who got ran over by Suge Knight, who is a blood. But he made a great documentary called Bastards of the Party to talk about the origins of the Bloods and the Crips. And really, they were a government project. They were created by the government. U.S. government policy created Bloods and Crips and Vice Lords and GDs and all that stuff. Black folks, we think we create this stuff. We're just a product of the same system. The hood rat was created by the government. Hood rat does not exist in nature. It's a product of the government. That's why I call it the project. But what they did, they put people like Geronimo Pratt in jail. They killed Bunchy Carter and John Huggins at UCLA. Bunchy Carter he was called the mayor of the ghetto. Very charismatic brother who was a poet. and he was leader of the Black Panther leadership in LA, and they killed him. They killed Fred Hampton in Chicago. He was trying to politicize the street gangs. He called them their tribe. He called the street gangs in Chicago, the multi-ethnic street gangs, his Rainbow Coalition. That's what Jesse Jackson got that from. The Rainbow Coalition came from Fred Hampton. He had the original Rainbow Coalition. That was for the grassroots justice in the streets and organizing and politicizing the many tribes of Chicago, the street, because Chicago is a gang town. It's a gangster town, which is funny. People talk about the greatness of Mayor Daley from back in the day, Father Daley, and they talk about Anton Cermak, but they no different to me than Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford. Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover could have been very successful mayors of Chicago because it's a gangster town. It's a gang town. It's gang. So my thing is weird, but the government created Bloods and Crips and all these street gangs. It's like the government created the mafia. Prohibition created organized crime. The government is organized crime. People always talking about, people kind of retarded. I ain't gonna say retarded. Let me take that back. People talking about when you catch a case from the feds, right? The feds got almost 100% conviction rate because they rigged the game. It's not because they got so much evidence. They can say whatever they want to say. They can say the sky is purple when it's blue, but because they got the power and resources, they're gonna make you an offer you can't refuse and say, you have to go with us, or you have to do this plea, you're gonna do this time. It's not that they got a lot of evidence on people. It's like even you look at Al Capone's income tax evasion case, they rigged that. They wanted the powers that be wanted Al Capone just to go to jail for anything. They could never prove that he killed anybody, even though people say he's a murderer. You can never prove that he killed anybody. So legally, he's not a murderer. Technically, he's not a murderer. He can't prove it. But even the income tax thing, that was a setup thing. They changed the juries. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went down with that. But I'm not gonna get into all that. But I'm saying with the feds, you ain't gonna beat the feds. It's like if the IRS say you owe them money, you might have a good ass case say I don't owe y'all no money, but guess what? You're gonna pay something because they're IRS. It ain't about what's ethically right and sound. It ain't about fairness. It's about, we're gonna get away with it because we got the power behind us. So we the law. I know what the Constitution said, but forget the Constitution. We the law because we got the power behind us. There's a piece of paper. Police are policy enforcers. That's why they call them police. They enforce policy. They don't protect and serve the people. They serve and protect the policyholders, the ones who set policy, who create law. So when you stop and think about it, no. But anyway, yeah, check out them Jet Magazine archives. It's amazing. Let's get back to our sister Michele Burgen. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I guess I'm gonna get out here under 2 hours, but I go off on tangent, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about, man. Like I said, I can't do a show every day. I don't think I like to think I can do a show every day, but I ain't worried about doing no show. So I get to the nitty gritty. What we gonna talk about, Michele Burgen? I said I'm gonna read something from Lipstick Alley, but also Dr. T.M. Howard. Not only did he investigate the Emmett Till murder, not only did he help start the careers of Medgar Evers and Charles Evans and Fannie Lou Hamer, not only was he one of the first Black leaders to give money to the widow of Malcolm X and raise money for the support of Malcolm X's family, but also he gave Jesse Jackson the money to start his organization, Operation Push. What do you call it? Push, Rainbow Coalition, all this stuff. What Jesse do? His Push organization. That was started with the help of Dr. Howard in his mansion in Chicago. He actually helped Jesse come with the name and also gave him the money to start that organization. But Jesse Jackson don't even talk about Dr. T.M. Howard. I don't know why. He don't even want to talk about Dr. Howard, because I mean they wrote a book about Dr. Howard. That was a great read. It's called something else, but it was called Black Maverick when it first came out. Written by this historian couple down in Alabama. I interviewed them, and they tried to interview Jesse Jackson, but he wouldn't talk to him for whatever reason, even though this guy was his Jekyll at one point, which is interesting. But I think the reason why Dr. Howard's not talking about because he was committing abortions for Black and white clients, and that was taboo back then. So I guess Black folks like to bury the dead. But we could talk about Bob Rustin, who was caught, screwing around in the car And he was a hidden black figure. He was hiding something. He was hiding his sneaky link and something. But anyway, that's Michele Burgen. That's all eyes on her. I'm gonna try to find this lipstick article and see what they say. This is Lipstick Alley I'm reading from. So I try to get these sources. This is from April 4th, 2019 on Lipstick Alley. She was young, she was beautiful, she was full of life, and by any accounts could have probably had any man she wanted. So who would kill the vivacious 26-year-old at LaGuardia Airport nearly 40 years ago? This came out in April 4th, 2019. That's the anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. See how it works. Michelle was the younger sister of actress Denise Nichols, whose career had an impressive resume at the time, being that she starred in the blaxploitation movies Blackula, Let's Do It Again, and Place of the Action, just to name a few. She was also had starring roles on television shows Room 222 and Baby I'm Back. Denise was also extremely pretty. Yes, she is and was, whatever. According to reports, Michelle was very edgy and nervous the few weeks leading up to her death. Supposedly, she was only an editor of Ebony magazine. She was also a drug courier. She had connections to the Philly Black Mafia. If you know anything about them, they were gruesome. They didn't play. They sure didn't play. The story goes that they didn't play nice. I know that much. The story goes that her boyfriend had no knowledge of this. The grapevine also says that somehow Michelle messed up a package. Okay. They thought she wore a wire. She knew they were upset at her. The mere fact that they were upset scared Michelle hitless because they were not to be F with. She still thought that she could win or iron the wrinkles out with them, which led her to meet with some dude named Ernest. Michelle told her boyfriend that she had to meet Ernest because he was setting up his own newspaper and he asked her to be the editor. I smell a setup already. She rented a car and met two men at the airport. The men were rumored to be members of Philly's black mob or connected with them. Many think they took her out. Hearsay also says that Philly black mob thought she snitched on them. Okay. See, I think that's the reasonable cause of death right there. For Sister Michelle, that she was involved with some heavy hitters in organized crime. They got rid of her because they thought she messed up. Because I read somewhere that a guy she was working with allegedly became a snitch, a federal snitch. He got caught and I get, dropped the name. Probably I don't know, but it is interesting to think about that. But these guys, for the most part, I don't think none of them still alive from the Philly Black Mob who came out of Mox number 12. And I want to connect a couple of cases because y'all do know, y'all remember if y'all saw the Showtime documentary about Teddy Pendergrass's manager, he had a female manager, a beautiful woman. They got killed in front of her home in Germantown, Pennsylvania. I guess it's Germantown. It's a suburb, something in Philadelphia. I'm not from Philly. We got a Germantown here in Memphis, and that's a suburb. I think Germantown is a little nice area, but she got killed in front of her home. And I remember watching the Teddy Pendergrass documentary. Jesse Jackson was a dear friend of hers, and he kept on looking at Teddy Pendergrass's direction like he was the guilty party because Teddy Pendergrass was actually out of town when he found the news that his manager was killed. I think that was out. They were also dating as well. And that Teddy Pendergrass documentary is really thought-provoking because allegedly Teddy Pendergrass was a targeted individual. He was being harassed by the police in Philadelphia. Even though he was a superstar, he's still being harassed. People talking about they thought he was behind the murder of his manager / girlfriend, and there was Philly black mob related. And then, it talked about in the documentary how Teddy Pendergrass brakes would be cut. So who was cutting Teddy Pendergrass's brakes? And then that night, when you went that she, a transgender, I don't know, cross-dressing woman, that night, because I remember like his white manager was trying to act like, well, Teddy probably didn't know she was that she was a he, and then somebody corrected him and said, I can't, I don't know how to defend Teddy. He said, I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna slow walk back on that one. I'm gonna slow walk back, walk that back real slow. That's why I don't go around vouching for people. Everybody got their thing, man. Everybody got their kinky side or whatever they like to do, and that's your business. But Teddy Pendergrass still was a phenomenal singer. Unfortunately, what happened to him in terms of being paralyzed. But let's talk about. Let me see. This is how the Black Philly mob ain't nothing to mess with. You talking about the Wu-Tang Clan? The Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to F with. Nah, the Philly Black mob back in the day, back in his heydays in the 60s and 70s, they was not nothing to mess with. I'm gonna bring up several cases to make my point. I think it's important to talk about this stuff. I don't think I know it's important to bring this stuff up to the forefront. I want to talk about a guy named Major Coxon. He was a real good friend of Muhammad Ali. A real good friend of Muhammad Ali. He was a colorful character from Philadelphia. He tried to run for mayor of Camden, New Jersey, I believe. And then he was assassinated in front of his family in his home on June 8th, 1973. So I want to talk about Major Coxon. And allegedly, he was the connect between the Philadelphia Black Mafia and the New York Mafia, the Italians. No, he was their heroin connect. He helped make the deals for the Black Mafia family with the New York families. And he was a really close associate of Angelo Bruno, who was Philly's mafia boss. He was a mob boss for the Philadelphia mob, the Italian mob out of South Philadelphia. He was known as the docile Don, because he was all about, let's be diplomatic before we be violent. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wanted to talk it out instead of shoot it out. So you're known as the gentle Don, the docile Don. But he was a close associate of Major Coxon. And Major Coxon was the guy who helped leverage the deals between the Black Philly mob and the Italians. But he got killed viciously by some brothers, man, some black men. And they shot up his family too, but they survived. Let's see. So this is Black history we don't talk about. I know a lot of this stuff is shady. He actually ran a club, I believe, in Philadelphia called Rolls Royce with a well-known and respected Black civil rights activist. I think we call it Rolls Royce, but they Philly Black Mafia, they got a long body count. I mean, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, right? I don't know. Let's talk about Major Coxon. Like, what I'm saying, like, folks that normally associate with these people, they end up dead some type of way. They don't go to jail. They end up missing them dead. I'm not laughing. That's not funny, but I'm just saying these some serious hitters, man. I'm surprised 50 Cent haven't done a documentary or some type of TV show about the Black Philly mob. Them guys were, man. And this is the people Malcolm was dealing with, man. This is before they became the Black Philly mob. But Malcolm was trying to clean house, man. They got rid of Malcolm. Yeah, I renew it time. Chicago didn't care for Malcolm because Malcolm would clean house. But Elijah had to know what they were doing. I don't know. But anyway, this Major Coxon sitting next to Muhammad Ali. They were really close friends, like neighbors and stuff. Even, but they were real close. Even when Muhammad Ali beat up Jerry Quarry, it was around the same time that Major Coxon was running for mayor of Camden, New Jersey. He said, "I dedicate this win to the future mayor of New Jersey, of Camden, Major Coxon." That's how close Muhammad Ali was to Major Coxon. And he was devastated when he got killed. Muhammad Ali was close to that brother. But let's read about Major Coxon a little bit. Major Benjamin Coxon was an American drug kingpin from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was a flamboyant entrepreneur, civil rights activist, inner city power broker, and intermediary between Italian Americans and African American organized crime groups. He co-owned a Philadelphia nightclub with civil rights activist Stanley Branch, was close friends and neighbor to Muhammad Ali, and ran unsuccessfully for mayor of Camden, New Jersey. In 1972, Coxon was murdered in his home in Cherry Hill, New Jersey on June 8th, 1973. Police theorized that the Philadelphia Black Mafia killed him for his failure to broker a heroin deal with the New York mob. So it all just come down to drugs, man. The drug gang. Michele Burgen was a casualty, sound like of the drug gang, and Major Coxon was a casualty of the drug gang. That's the American way, right? Read this. I guess I can read the whole thing on Bob. I mean, because reading is fundamental, right? Coxon was born to Israel and Maybelle Coxon in Fairbank, Pennsylvania. He attended Benjamin Franklin High School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As a teenager, he worked at shoe shine stands and car washes. He invested the money in used car lots, car dealerships, and other enterprises. He was drafted in 1946 during the 1940 to 1947 World War II drafting. Coxon co-owned a nightclub in Center City, Philadelphia, with civil rights activist Stanley Branch, named the Rolls Royce Lounge. Coxon operated as a drug kingpin while running the nightclub. He was arrested 17 times and convicted 10 on fraud and larceny charges. He served 22 months in a federal prison in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, for his involvement in an interstate car theft ring. He was an associate of Angelo Bruno, the mafia boss of Philadelphia crime family. And they shotgun Angelo Bruno, man. It's a gruesome picture of him sitting in his car back in 1980 with the back of his head blown off. His mouth wide open, back of his head blown up. Coxon was the Black Mafia's narcotic connection. He received high-grade heroin from the notorious East Coast drug trafficker Frank Matthews. You know who Frank Matthews was? That's the real Black Caesar. You know, he's inspiration for New Jack City in some ways. But Frank Matthews disappeared back in the mid-70s with $20 million. He jumped bail, disappeared with his mistress, and I almost like anywhere between $15 and $20 million. Nobody don't know what happened to Frank Matthews. He never been caught. Some people think he's dead. Some people think he's still alive. Who knows? But he left the country with almost $20 million back in the 70s after jumping bail with his girlfriend. Me and my girlfriend. He was involved in the establishment of dummy corporations for money laundering, credit card fraud, and extortion. Companies such as Crescent Furniture Company, Pyramid Enterprises, Barry Goldstein Agency, and Fairmont Foods drew checks that were made payable to Elijah Muhammad's Mosque number 12 in Philadelphia. That's the home base. That's the origin story of Philly's Black Mafia, Mosque number 12 or Temple number 12. He was a close friend and neighbor of Muhammad Ali when he lived in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They met in 1968 when Ali spoke at a fundraiser for a neighborhood organization called the Black Coalition, of which Coxon was a board member. In 1970, after Muhammad Ali defeated Jerry Quarry in the ring, he grabbed the microphone for Howard Cosell and declared, "I dedicate this win to Major Coxon, the future mayor of Camden, New Jersey. Rumble, young man, rumble." In 1972, Coxon ran for mayor of Camden, New Jersey, but lost to Angelo Irichetti. Okay. When questioned during the campaign about his criminal record, Coxon replied, "Most politicians start off as office holders and wind up getting arrested. I aim to reverse the process." Yeah, he was a colorful character. Coxon was murdered on June 8, 1973 in his home at 1146A Barber Drive in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Coxon, along with his companion, her daughter, and her oldest son, was bound and shot. Her younger son was also bound but was able to escape and alert a neighbor. One of the victims told police that 4 black men in a Cadillac arrived at the house at 4 a.m. He stated that they honked the car horn and were let in the house by the Coxon. Therefore, he assumed they were friends. The 5 men spoke for a while before the violence began. It was theorized that the Black Mafia ordered Coxon killed for failing to broker a major heroin deal between the New York Mafia and the Philadelphia Black Mafia. The 2 lead suspects in the murders were Ronald Harvey and Samuel Christian of the Black Mafia. Harvey was a Philadelphia crime figure that was the 320th person placed on the FBI 10 most wanted fugitives list for his suspected involvement in the Coxon murder. He was arrested and indicted on 11 counts regarding the Coxon murder, with bail set at $3 million. He was eventually convicted of the 1973, how you say this word? Hanafi or Hanafi. I had this word memorized. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Put this on commercial break. I won't pronounce this right. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's religious spiritual leaders group. He used to be a part of Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam. And he broke away from Elijah Muhammad, right? And he started talking bad about Elijah Muhammad, writing letters to different temples throughout the country. And his people was killed in the home that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar gifted him. Like he gifted his religious spiritual guru this home in Washington, D.C., right? And I guess some members of the Black Mafia family end up massacring that family. Like it was women and children that were killed. 2 adult women, and I believe 7 children killed. Let me make sure. The Hanafi Muslims, right? Oh, okay. Seven deaths, 2 injured. So home invasion happened on January 18th, 1973. The Hanafi Muslim massacre. And this is like when the leader of that organization, the Hamas Abdul Khalis, he ended up taking over City Hall, I think, in DC. Mary Berry got injured because you're trying to bring attention to what happened to his family. They were massacred. The Hanafi. Okay, the Hanafi. Oh, we'll go with that. But let's get back to Major Coxon right quick. Okay. I talk about Harvey. He was arrested and indicted on 11 counts regarding the Coxon murder with bail set at $3 million. He was eventually convicted of 1973 Hanafi Muslim massacre of 2 women and 5 children in Washington, D.C. in January 1973. Harvey was never charged with the Coxon murder and died in prison. Christian was the 321st person placed on the FBI 10 most wanted fugitive list for his suspected involvement with the Coxon murder. Christian was not convicted of the Coxon murder since no witnesses were willing to come forward. Coxon was interned at Mount Lawn Cemetery in Darby, Pennsylvania. So Coxon, nobody has ever been officially held accountable for his murder, but we do know that probably it was the Black Philly Mafia because his association with them and the fact that he came up short on the deal. And you guys, Ronald Harvey and Samuel Christian, I believe he was the founder of the Black Mafia family. They're all Muslims, right? I think Samuel Christian died in 2016. I don't know if there's actually any original Philly Black mob members still around. Yeah, the Hanafi. Let me make sure I got my information right on Hanafi. Hanafi massacre. But the guy who was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's spiritual advisor, he lost his family in that massacre. And he was the spokesperson. I think his name was Ernest McGee. I mean, I don't quote me on that. I think he was the spokesperson for the Nation of Islam right before Malcolm X. I knew him and Malcolm was friends or they were associates because Malcolm actually talked to him, from my understanding, before he actually had that split with Elijah Muhammad. Like, he was, feeling, I mean, that was like his spiritual advisor, I think, on some level. I could be wrong, but I'm just reading stuff because, you read this stuff, you don't know what to make of it because there's so many different versions of the story. Now, on Wikipedia, they said it was 2 men and a boy was shot to death. 4 other children ranging in age from 9 days to 10 years old were drowned. So I thought it was 2 women that were killed along with the children. But hey, sure. I was reading this stuff is interesting. I'm trying to go to other sources. But there was a siege at the city hall, I think, on the government in response to what happened to his family, and he spent the rest of his life in prison. The leader, spiritual leader, I think he died in 2003. On January 18, 1973, in Washington, D.C., in a Washington, D.C. house, 2 adults and a child were shot to death. 4 other children ranging in age from 9 days to 10 years old were drowned and 2 were injured. The house had been purchased for a group of Hanafi Muslims to use by Milwaukee's Bucks basketball star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The attack became known as the Hanafi Muslim Massacre. Abdul-Jabbar was a member. Let me go ahead. read this. So I mean, people say, well, what all this? What you trying to say? Well, I'm trying to say that it's quite plausible this woman was a victim as well of Black Philly Mafia because of her situation, with the drugs and stuff. And like the police, like even with the Dolph case is weird because if you look at how they do the young Dolph case, they let somebody go who was a suspect allegedly, who got caught with straight drop. Justin Johnson, the guy, the Barrett guy, they let him go and didn't say there was a mistake. But the Indiana law enforcement official said that the people in Memphis told him that he was not, they no longer were interested in him. So they allegedly let him go and he can't be found now. But I think he's in witness protection. I mean, like they do this smoke and mirrors. I don't trust the media. I don't trust law enforcement. It's some shenanigans going on. Because you got person of interest that had two guys that were person of interest. They're not suspects, but you offering reward money for their whereabouts. So you say they're not suspects, but you offering reward money for their whereabouts. Cognitive dissonance, anybody? This is what I'm dealing with. When you think about this stuff. Let me take this off. I mean, this stuff is really deep. But I'm just trying to read. This stuff is real, man. This is interesting. But our people, we don't really research this stuff. And we let the white folks tell us. It's like Malcolm, that was his biggest complaint about Black media is that we too reactionary. We wait for white folks to pop the story to control the narrative. That we want to respond. We always on the defense instead of being on the attack. When you do it differently, you have more say and more leverage when you actually help set the story up instead of trying to respond to what's been out there. And we got to get more proactive as a community when it comes to sharing and presenting our information. But I'm just trying to make sure I get it right in terms of the Hanafi thing. Was it women that got killed? I thought it was two women, but they saying two men and a boy was shotgun and 4 others were drowned. So that could be possible. I don't know. I just, you hear all these different stories. And let's talk about Hamas Abdul Khalis. He was Ernest McGee, known as Ernest 2X McGee, was the leader of the Hanafi movement, a Black Muslim group based in Washington, D.C., subscribing to Hanafi school of Sunni Islam. To draw attention to the 1973 murder of his family, he organized a 1977 siege in which 149 hostages died. He spent the rest of his life in prison after being found guilty of conspiracy to commit kidnapping while armed, second-degree murder, 2 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed, 1 count of assault with a dangerous weapon, and 24 counts of kidnapping while armed. Okay. Collis was born to Seventh-day Adventist parents in Gary, Indiana. That's the home of Michael Jackson, hometown. As Ernest Timothy McGee, he graduated 22nd in the class 135 at Roosevelt High School, and he played percussion instruments and eventually converted to Roman Catholicism. As McGee, he attended Purdue University and Midwestern Conservatory. He was discharged from the U.S. Army on grounds of mental instability. He was, now check this out, y'all. This man, very interesting character. He was a talented jazz drummer and played with Bud Powell, Charlie Parker, Max Roach, Billie Holiday, and J.J. Johnson in New York City. So this guy was an interesting character. Very intelligent, brilliant musician. Wow. Khalis met Tasabur Udin Rahman and converted to Sunni Islam. Upon advice of his instructor, he infiltrated the Nation of Islam. He infiltrated, that's interesting. In 1954, at the suggestion of Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad named Khalis the National Secretary of the Nation of Islam, a position he held until 1957. Muhammad also sent him to Chicago to head the University of Islam. In an interview, Khalis said Elijah once said that I was next in line to him, that it was me, not Malcolm X. That's interesting. See, that's history we don't even talk about. Do the nation acknowledge this guy's affiliation? He was a national secretary. That's a major position. Spokesperson. Khalis split with the Nation of Islam in 19. I don't know if I'm saying the name Khalis. This is Khalid, Khalis. I don't know. Split with the Nation of Islam in 1958 to found a rival Islamic organization, the Hanafi movement. In 1968, he was arrested for attempted extortion but released on grounds of mental illness. There's a thin line between genius and insanity, and he proves it because this guy's like he's an interesting, like operating a high intellectual level, but getting himself in trouble from time to time. The same year, militant blacks at Howard University formed a group called the Kokayi Family. When that group was disbanded, many of its members became members of Hamas Hanafi, American Muslims Rifle and Pistol Club, which was given a group membership charter by the National Rifle Association. Wow. Okay, 1971, Khalis converted basketball player Lou Alcindor to Islam. After his conversion, Alcindor adopted the name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Abdul-Jabbar donated a fieldstone mansion, 7700 16th Street Northwest, to serve as the headquarters of Khalis's organization in Washington, D.C. Deal with the Nation of Islam. In 1972, Khalis circulated an open letter that referred to Elijah Muhammad as a lying deceiver and asserted that he lured former dope addicts and prostitutes to monk-like lives of sacrifice that would lead them to hell. Khalis claimed credit for Malcolm X's leaving the Nation of Islam. In a 1973 interview, Khalis said he was teaching Malcolm X about Sunni Islam. He used to come to my house on Long Island, and we used to sit in the car for hours. He would meet me after he left the temple, never in public because he knew they were after him. He was saying the wrong things. On January 18th, 1973, Khalis' family was murdered inside their Washington, D.C. home in retaliation for letters that Khalis had written against the Nation of Islam, the Hanafi Siege, okay? To bring attention to his family's murder, Khalis planned and led the 1977 Hanafi Siege. He was tried and convicted, receiving a sentence of 21 to 120 years in prison. Khalis died at the Federal Correction Complex Prison in Butler, North Carolina, November 13, 2003. So, interesting character, man. It's like Hollywood can't make up these people. This dude had a fascinating life. He reinvented himself many times. He lived an amazing life. I mean, he was a great jazz drummer. That's impressive. Played with Charlie Parker and Max Roach. All them guys, Billie Holiday. And then to be the spiritual guru of not only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but also Malcolm X. His name does pop up, but we don't talk about him because we don't research. A lot of us don't. We just want a talking head to tell us what to believe and how to view things. My thing, I'm not even here to do that. You know, show a picture of this brother. This We All Be News Free Dixie. I'm about to get out of here. So he was a spiritual teacher of Malcolm X. And I heard his name pop up in Malcolm X narrative, but like, you know, when they did the Minister Baines character for the movie, and it was a guy in prison that actually encouraged Malcolm X. That was better than the Minister Baines character. He actually was a real person who encouraged Malcolm X to get on the debate team. And I can't think of his name out top of my head right now, but you can look him up. And I was about to say, I think Hanafi, right? I don't know. I had Dan Rather in my head about how to say that name, but you DC folks should know what that is. And like I said, a lot of times I just mispronounce things. I be looking at things. Sometimes things look a certain way, but they not said how it's spelled. You know, there's certain things are not said how it's spelled. You be looking at foreign names from Sweden and Norway, and you know, whatever. Y'all get my thing is to create content. And I think I'm just gonna point y'all in a direction where y'all need to look. You know, I'm not trying to be the master teacher crap. Don't care for all that. I just love education. I love learning about that's the guy. That's his image. I think Marion Barry was hurt in that siege. He almost got killed or he was wounded. You know, Marion Barry was there when they did the siege. But that's the guy. That's the brother. Hamas Abdul Khalis. Hanafi. He's leader of the Hanafis. But he's the guy that converted arguably the greatest basketball player who ever walked the planet. If you look at, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is probably the greatest basketball player. He won at every level. It's phenomenal. He just didn't live during the age of Sports Center and all this other stuff. People talk about LeBron, people talk about Michael Jordan, but Kareem, like I saw the list Stephen A. Smith did. I think he had his top 4 Mount Rushmore. He had Jordan number 1, LeBron number 2, Kareem number 3, and Magic number 4. You can't argue with that. That's a good Mount Rushmore for basketball. That works. I actually agree with Stephen A. Smith on something. That works. That will work. Because Mount Rushmore, they got 4 figures, 4 presidents, and that will work. I don't see nobody can argue against that. Because people talking about Kobe Bryant. Kobe cool. I mean, Kobe is really just Jordan. He's a spinoff of Jordan, right? Maybe more skilled than Jordan because he had smaller hands, and Kobe was a unique talent. But Kobe still could be top 10. But I'm saying that, this Ernest McGee cat, aka Hamas Abdul Khalis, Hanafi. Okay, so I know I said Michele Burgen, right? But we talked about a lot of other stuff. But my thing was, I'm just trying to make the case that the Philly Black Mafia was some dangerous cats, man. They were not to be played with. And I talked about Samuel Christian. Let's read a little bit about Samuel Christian and his background. Malcolm knew these cats really well. See, like the thing about it is, like Norman Butler, aka Muhammad Aziz, all them guys, a lot of them guys had, criminal background. I don't know what Muhammad Aziz's background. There's a guy who got exonerated along with Khalil Islam last year. And like I say, I still hold them guilty. It's not a hate thing. Is that they were involved. Like you got pictures of Norman Butler at the Audubon or his doppelganger or somebody that looks like him at the Audubon outside or where Malcolm got killed on that day. So maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I'm about to close this out, y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with Brother Ron. Oh man. Yeah, okay. I think that worked. Like I said, y'all should check out Teddy Pendergrass's. What do I do? What did I do? Oh yeah, you should check out Teddy Pendergrass's documentary on Showtime, talking about how his manager was killed while he was on the road, which is weird. But people pointing the fingers to Teddy Pendergrass, maybe that he's trying to get out that contract with her and made an offer she couldn't refuse. I don't know if he did that, but Teddy was victimized. So nobody dies a natural death in showbiz. That was my friend Mr. Emerson Abel used to tell me. He worked with like Otis Redding and Sammy Davis Jr., Al Jackson Jr. He worked with some Al Green. He worked with some interesting cats. He told me stories that, you serious? Told me stories about Don Cornelius. They told me stories. Not that Playboy stuff. I'm just saying, it's just like, you know what? You should never put people on pedestals. How about that? We should stop putting these celebrities on pedestals. They're just people, and a lot of them are very flawed, like we are. So I won't put all these folks on pedestals like that. Talk about Samuel Christian. This is the leader or founder of the Black Philly mob out of Mosque number 12, Temple number 12. Talk about Samuel Christian, then we get out of here. Yeah, but I'm trying to close out Black History Month strong. Yeah, stuff that we know we don't talk about. But Michele Burgen, man, like her sister's talking about, I speak to dead people all the time. We all speaking to the dead. A lot of us don't know that. I listen to music. There's a thing called ghost notes and stuff. I be hearing things They are not said. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of subliminal stuff going on with the music. You know, Dick Gregory helped save the life of John Lennon. And John Lennon talking about how they were brought over here to get young people hooked on drugs, the Beatles. And the Beatles probably was a product of the Tavistock Institute over in England. And that's where MK Ultra mind control stuff come from. The Manchurian Candidate thing, they come from the Tavistock Institute over in England. So he said they were brought over here to put kids on drugs, like listen to songs like Hey Jude is about heroin. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is about LSD. And you got a lot of things, even Laurel Canyon in LA. A lot of them musicians came out of Laurel Canyon. I mean, it's deep, man. This stuff is so weird. But Samuel Christian, born March 20th, 1939 through March 6, 2016, also known as Richard Carter, Sam Bayah Christian, and Suleiman Bey, was the founder of the Philadelphia Black Mafia. Christian changed his name upon joining the Nation of Islam and eventually became captain in their paramilitary unit, the Fruit of Islam. Christian was the 321st person to be added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list as a suspect in the 1972 murder of Tyrone Fat Ty Palmer, who was shot in the face at Club Harlem, and as a suspect in the 1973 murder of Major Coxon and shooting of several others at Coxon's residence. Because there were no witnesses willing to testify against him, he was not convicted of either murder. That's because they had people protecting and insulating. Like I said, cops were afraid of the Philly Black Mafia. And Tyrone Fat Ty Palmer was an associate of Frank Matthews. Frank Matthews had beef. He had issues with the Philly Black Mob. I think it was, I mean, like, you know, this stuff is deep, man. That's because we got we skin folk, don't mean we kin folk. You know, we not on the same team. But these cats were vicious. They were vicious. Well, let me find some information on Teddy Pendergrass' manager. And she was a gorgeous black woman too. She was a good-looking black woman. I think her and Teddy was also like a couple. I just want to find this quick information on her, and then we get out of here. We'll close. But I talked about Michele Burgen, and I'll tell you what I thought about that, right? Her name was Tasmania Melanie Taz Waters Lane. Tasmania Melanie Taz Waters Lane. That was Teddy Pendergrass' girl. Oh, manager, excuse me. She was like 32, 33 years old when she got killed on the questionable circumstance. Found a picture of this good looking black woman. Oh, man. There is so much stuff out here. Yeah, thank y'all, man. I appreciate just the patience. I like to give honor to the dead. Like, I love going to the cemetery. Give honor to the dead. Let's see if I can find. Getting a picture for her. And I got a good show coming up tomorrow as well. We're talking about a black church scandal y'all never heard of. It's a black church scandal that happened back in 1940. It's a shame because this black woman was phenomenal. Her name was Bishop Sarah Butler. Her name was Bishop Sarah Butler. She was founder of Zion Temple Church out in Los Angeles and South Los Angeles. It still exists to this day. She was the founder of Zion Temple Church, Bishop Sarah Butler, out in South LA. She was murdered in her apartment above the church by the treasurer of the church. And the thing about it is, it was a big scandal because a lot of people assumed that they were in a lover's quarrel, that they were boyfriend and girlfriend, even though she was separated from her husband. Her husband, Charles Butler, lived in their home. She moved out the home, was living in a boarding house, but she also had an apartment above the church, Zion Temple Church in South LA. And so the treasurer went, and met her. He shot her 3 times and shot himself 1 time. So it was a murder-suicide. But on the Los Angeles County Coroner's report, when it lists cause of death on both reports, it's called love affair. So like the church denied it was no love affair. This dude was crazy. We told him to step down. He was a mental case. Now the guy who allegedly killed her, see, I got his name. Caldwell Jones. He was a well-known, successful realtor in LA. And also he was reporter for the California Eagle, one of the top black newspapers in LA at the time. So they basically said no, they wasn't going together. That was a church board. They wasn't going together. But the newspapers were saying it was, and then the death certificate said cause of death was love affair on both. So we're gonna talk about the amazing and sad and triumphant and tragic life of Sister Bishop Cheryl Butler tomorrow. And there's no information really out there on her. There's no videos on Bishop Cheryl Butler. And what's sad is that the church been in existence for over 80 years. And you go to the church's website, Zion Temple out in South LA, there is no mention of her being the founder. There is no information about her being the founder of the church. And she was just 37 years young when she was killed by her treasurer of her church. It's like a Selena thing where the president of a fan club kills her, right? But she didn't kill herself. But the dude that killed Sarah Butler killed himself in a murder-suicide. And then Los Angeles coroner said cause of death, love affair. That stuff. Then she got a sad, tragic family twist too. It's like a generational curse or something, because that's not talked about either. I'm gonna talk about all day tomorrow. I'm gonna wrap it up in a nice little bow and keep it under 2 hours. How about that? But anyway, and thank y'all for the support. I have not been watching the chat. I'll be looking at the chats later, but if you donate or will donate, we love you madly. Thank you, Miss Me, for your donation. We love you madly, and everybody who donated. If I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm trying to get through this information. But I thank you all for contributing to the conversation. I thank the moderators. Thank everybody who tune in and be tuning in the future. But I just want to do my part, because there was nothing on Michele Burgen on YouTube, and that's a travesty. That story is too. It should be better known, and really, I think it's solvable. But there will be nobody coming to justice, because I think the folks who did it, they're dead now. They're dead. So this is Taz, gorgeous black woman, gorgeous. By all counts, was a beautiful, vivacious, lively sister. She was Teddy Pendergrass' manager. Then she was killed in front of her home in Germantown, Pennsylvania, back in '77. But let's read a little bit about her. And watch that Teddy Pendergrass Showtime documentary. It's worth watching. It's like a really good documentary. Because they interviewed a transvestite. I guess they're a transvestite or trans woman that was in the Kawa film, that horrible accident. And like his manager was saying, he didn't know that wasn't a woman, a natural woman. Then they said, yeah, he did. And then the manager had to backwalk there. He's like, I don't know, I can't speak on that. With Taz Amelia, Melanie Lang, to her friends, just Taz. The name was Magic. Manager, singer Teddy Pendergrass, Sunday school teacher, mother, model, most popular at Germantown High, friend of Dionne Warwick, confidant of Nancy Wilson, wife of a football star, Miss Patio Diet Cola. Taz Lane was gunned down on April 14th, 1977 by someone who wanted her dead, or as the police theorized, someone who may have wanted to scare her, but instead killed her. Her funeral was held on Wednesday, April 19th, 1977, at Second Macedonia Baptist Church. Reverend Jesse Jackson delivered the eulogy. Interment, Shelton Hill Cemetery. And good looking woman, man. Very wow. Like she was the package. But death don't discriminate, man. Death do not discriminate. And that's why you gotta make the most of your time while you're here, man. Life is really short. Even if you live to be 100, I know folks that made it to 100. I know Betty White didn't make it to 100, but I know people that actually, I met 3 black women. I think it was 3. Let's see. Yeah, I know 3 black women recently they just turned 100 years old. They looking good. But I don't know what type of hell they caught over their life, but they knew how to handle it. That's why they still around, But yeah, Taz Lane, show her Yeah, but Jesse Jackson kept on looking at Teddy Pendergrass like he was the guilty party at the funeral, according to the documentary. Like, why he looking at me like I did this? He was out of town, but you know what that mean. But like my friend Mr. Abel was saying, nobody dies a natural death in showbiz. So that's a tombstone. Love lives on. Taz Lane, 1944 to 1977. Too young. Too young. Too young. Okay, so that's it, family. I gave y'all 2 hours. Thank y'all. If you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Subscribe to We All Be TV. Also, reason I'm losing subscribers, I've been in a negative last couple months. I can't worry about that, man. I'm just going a new way. I think, if you want more of certain people, go to somebody else's YouTube channel. I'm just trying to cover things I'm interested in right now, and don't include interviewing a lot of people right now. I'll get back to interviewing people, but I like to talk about these type of subjects and topics that not really getting talked about. It's people with large followings. They don't feed their people nothing but junk food. They want celebrity gossip. I could do that and probably get over 100,000 subscribers, and I can do what I'm doing now and get a small dedicated number of people that support the work, that's benefiting from the work. Because my thing is, I want to tell you about stuff that you may not never heard about or things that you should consider. So this is, I think, is the important duty of all so-called educators and so-called media platforms, especially from a Black perspective, that we do the job, that we go the extra mile and educating our people about certain things that may not be household subject matter, might not be popular, but it is essential that we should know about these things and do our own research. Because I want us to really be investing in critical thinking, because it's very critical that we do critical thinking right now. So thank y'all. Support the movement. Thank the people who have supported the movement. If you had super chatted, I appreciate you. Thank the moderators. Thank the folks who donated other means. Always cash app your support at $R2C2H2. You could PayPal, Google Pay, Zelle your support at R2C2H2 at gmail.com, Vimo at R2C2H2. You could buy Art of His Art, R2C2H2.com. You can wear Art of His Art. I got the IDB Wells on, man. My IDB Wells shirt. Go below the description box on YouTube. Access the official Teespring link, shelf link, and it takes you right to the spot. Got new designs coming up. Been very busy doing new design and stuff like that. So thank you all. Thank you for your patience. Also, February 26th is the birthday of Robert F. Williams, one of our hidden Black figures. This brother believed in self-defense, was an advocate for the Second Amendment as well as the First Amendment, was a media guy. He did Radio Free Dixie down in Cuba. He shot it out with the Klan in Monroe, North Carolina back in the day, the Klan and police. Shot it out, shootouts with them, escaped to Cuba with the help of my cousin, the late great Julian Mayfield, got to Cuba, did Radio Free Dixie, advocating the insurrection by Black enlisted men, rise up against Jim Crow and Uncle Sam. Ended up going to China as a guest of Chairman Mao, made a deal with the feds to get back home, gave him the intel that allowed President Nixon to be the first sitting president to visit China in U.S. history. And that opened the doors to what we have now with China, for better or for worse. So that's his birthday today, Robert F. Williams. He lived to be 70 years old. And he said, the reason why he don't talk about me because I lived to be an old man and I was successful. COINTELPRO didn't kill him. Leukemia did, but maybe COINTELPRO did kill him. They gave him leukemia. Who knows? But anyway, thank y'all so much. I guess before I go, read a disclaimer. Like I said, Hanafi. I think I said Hanafi, right? Y'all correct me, DC folks, and y'all snobs about the pronunciation and enunciation and all that. Y'all correct me. I don't have no problem with it. It was Hanafi. Anyway, let's see. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. Thank you all so much. In the words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. One love. I'm out of here.